So welcome to the first video in the series on the WUU2K Ultra Marathon Trail. So we're here at Kandala Park, which is where the start is. And so we're going to head off up Mount Kaukau, head around for about the first 10 or 11 k's to where the first aid station would be on Makara Hill Road. So as we go along, we're going to describe the track, tell you what it's like, so that you can have a better understanding of what's involved and what training you need to do for it. So the thing to keep in mind, today is a lovely day in Wellington. It's nice and sunny, almost no wind. The WUU2K is run in the middle of winter. It's going to be 6:30 in the morning when you start, so it's going to be dark, it's going to be cold, it's probably going to be raining. So it'll be very different conditions from what we've got underfoot today, so you need to take that into mind when you head off at the start. So what we're going to do, we're going to head down to the start area now and wander up the track, and I'll point things out as we go. Okay, so this is the start area. It's a little bit of lawn. Everybody kind of congregates here, and then you get sent off up the hill here. So it might look a little bit flat in the video, but trust me, the track is uphill to start with. So you want to just take it easy as you head off. So one of the things to keep in mind, this track is pretty rough in places. You're going to be coming through here in the dark with a whole bunch of torches going on and a whole bunch of people trying to get to the front. It's really easy to catch your foot on a rock and just ruin your whole day. So this first section, just as you start off, even though it's quite flat, it's easy to run. You want to just take things real easy through here. Particularly since you're not warmed up yet, you know, you're still dealing with that early morning coffee. So you just take this bit nice and easy, enjoy running by the creek, and you get into it later on. Once you get past the third bridge, that's when the climb starts for real. And that's when you start encountering stairs. Lots and lots of stairs. They're in quite good condition, so they're nicely spaced, but there's a lot of them. A lot easier going down than going up. And so, well, it's tempting to run up the stairs and get a good burn on. They're not evenly spaced, so you have to watch your step a lot. So here's one of the views you won't get because it'll be dark. So you might get to see the lights of the city if it's a clear day, but you won't get to see much. One of the big advantages of the race starting at 6:30 in the morning, coming up this part, is you're not so likely to be passed as you're going up the hill, lungs hanging out, legs screaming, every nerve in your body saying I want to die. You're not likely to be passed by a 6-year-old being chased by their 8-year-old brother and laughing as they run past you. It's not impossible, it's just less likely that would happen at 6:30 in the morning. And so as you can see, there's just more and more climbing. And the track is not terrible, but it's not smooth. So it's not something you can attack too hard, really. But even running in the dark through here, it's quite lovely. And about 1 kilometre in, things reach a turning point. Now you get some flat runnable. So now's a good time to kick in and stretch your legs a little bit. We're not too far from the top now. Of course there's still stairs to negotiate, but you get that on the big jobs. But once we get through this third flight, then we should have a good... It's still uphill, but the track seems to be a lot less rocky, a lot less rough, and so you can kind of relax a little bit and get into it. And so along this flat bit, you find you're running through quite dense bush. You'll feel oppressive, like everything's in close. But then, just around the corner from where we are now, it'll feel like it opens up, even though you can't see anything because it's dark. You get that sense of there's some open space around, and that's when you know you're nearly at the top. That's a good feeling. And so as you can see now, you can see the tower, and you can see that the trees are opening up. And the top is just in sight. Now this last little grind uphill, and then it's all downhill for a while. This last little grind just seems to take a while. and then you're at the top of Mount Kaukau. Well done. And so now it's all downhill for a bit. So that took me 21 minutes, which is a slow time. Pretty much most of that was walking. Just saving my legs for the rest of the day. But something I recommend you take it easy coming up there. You know, you've still got, so it's 1.5 k's to the top, so you've still got over 60 k's of running to go. So you don't want to kill yourself on the first hill, like I did in my first run for the WUU2K. And so now we head down off Kaukau, dodging all the landmines left by the cows, and head along the Skyline track. So as you can probably see, this bit is quite steep going down, and the track is quite rutted where the cattle come through in the wet, and just messed the ground up. So when you come down through here, it's going to be wet, whether it's raining or because of dew in the morning. This is super slippery coming down, so you want to take this downhill particularly at a modest pace, quite easy. In the last WUU2K race that I did, there's about 10 guys in front of me fell because it was just so muddy, so slippery. Nobody was hurt, but plenty of muddy bottoms. So you just want to take it easy coming down here. This will be your first big workout for your quads, so be nice to them. And then a few k's on from here, it flattens out, you get onto a nice four-wheel drive track. And then you can put the foot down. But for first coming up Mount Kaukau and then descending down onto the ridgeline here, you know, my strategy is just take things easy for the first bit, and that will set you up well for the rest of the day. So a little bit over 2 k's in, and the track starts to get a lot more friendly. There's some uphill, some downhill, but it's a lot friendlier to run on, and you get nice views, although you won't see this in the dark. But this is where you can just start stretching your legs out a bit. And you can spin around and have a look to the Makara wind farm. They're not farming much today because there's no wind, but normally they'd be spinning like tops. And that's the other thing to keep in mind. You're running on top of a ridge here, it's very exposed. This is a rare day when there's no wind. It can be extremely windy up here, very, very cold. Remember, the race is right in the middle of winter, so you need to have good wet weather gear, windproof gear, and keep yourself nice and warm. Just on 3 k's in, and then we open up to some nice views of the city. So if it's clear, you'll get to see the lights. So we've been going for about half an hour, so it's still going to be dark about this time of the race. But you should start seeing the sun coming up a little bit. A little bit of lightning to the sky in the east, which is out past the city. So the sun's going to come up from over here. So that should give you some encouragement. So then we just start heading down. And the track's quite runnable here, so about this point you'll be thinking about taking your torch off maybe, depending on if it's a clear day or not, and then getting into the race proper. One of the features to look out for on the course here is cattle stops. So there's a few of these. You kind of just want to take it easy going through them so you don't catch a toe and end up looking like a stuck cow. It's quite easy to get that wrong in the dark and the wet. There's a whole bunch of people trying to get through at once. Take your time through those, no pushing, no shoving, be nice. And then you carry on onto what is becoming, slowly, quite a lovely track to run on. So if you're new to Wellington, you may be hearing about one of the aid stations, which is at a place called the Windmill. And then you look out over there and you say, well, which one? Well, it's none of those. So this is the Windmill that's in town. It was the first one set up as a test, and because there was only one when it was built, it became known as the Windmill. And now there's whole farms of them. So they've got a breeding program going on here where they breed them and then plant them out in the countryside and see if any of them will self-seed and take over all the ridgelines. And so far it seems to be going quite well. But for a Wellingtonian, if you talk about the Windmill, it's the Windmill that's at the top of Brooklyn Hill. And that's where we're heading to eventually. But we've got a few more miles and a few more hills to go first. Get back over some single track for a bit as you wind up around the next little knob. Okay, 4k's in now. So we're coming down the hill past this sign here, and it kind of opens out and you can see pylons in the distance there. So there's a four-wheel drive track that runs under those pylons, and we're going to be running on that for a bit. So nice little bit of single track here, which is in not too bad condition. Once you get over the top of this hill, it'll hook up with the four-wheel drive track, and then you can really let loose for a bit. It's downhill a little bit, and yeah, really nice. Give your legs a good stretch. Tight running surface. So about here, depending on how fast you're running, it should be light enough. Take the torch off, pack it away, and then get into your race. And so it's pretty much nice running, I think, from here to the aid station at Makara Hill Road. Well, it's Makara Hill Road you want. So this is the way we go. So you want to make sure, coming along this way, that you're on the city side of this big bump. Otherwise you'll end off out in some farmer's paddock somewhere and you'll have to retrace your steps. So if you keep pretty much to the city side, you shouldn't go too far wrong. So while it's mostly nice easy running, there's still a few short sharp climbs in it. Just to keep you honest. But they're not too bad. There's a lot worse to come. So if you get to a place in the track you're not sure where to go and you can't see any of the race markings, you can always look for these ones here. Particularly on this part of the track, it marks the Skyline track, and that's the one that you want to run on. So keep an eye out for those as you're going, and that'll help keep you on track. And by now you should start seeing views of the city with the sunrise behind it, which can be quite lovely at times. So what you see is pretty much what you get. It's a nice easy single track, just ascending pretty much most of the way to Makara Peak car park. So this part of the section of the track is actually quite fun to run. Okay, so we're onto some nice four-wheel drive track now, just gently winding up a hill, nothing serious. And this is all quite easy, so we're about coming up to 8 kilometres in. Been running on this for about half a k, so from about 7 kilometres in it's pretty much just easy running. A little bit up, a little bit down. So about this point, if you're a seasoned ultra runner, you're going to be thinking to yourself, okay, give me a challenge. Bored now. This is easy. If this is your first ultra marathon, you might be thinking to yourself, okay, we got off to a rocky start, but when things have sorted themselves out, I can do this. If it's like this to the finish, I can do this, not a problem. There's only one small problem. It's not like this to the finish. So once we get to the aid station at Makara Road, you'll have completed probably the easiest part of the course. And that's when things get a little bit more serious. But that's a video for another day. For now, we're still looking at getting to the first checkpoint, which is at Makara Road. And we're not far off there now, so at least when you hit this bit you know that you got some some nice running for a bit. And pretty soon, depending on where you are in the pack, you start hearing the cowbells off in the distance as they start welcoming the runners in. And that's quite an encouraging sound. So you've been running along a nice four-wheel drive track for a bit. Then it cuts back into a bit of single track. You start seeing houses, things like that. So you know you're going past the suburb of Karori. And Karori is right near the end, so you know you're getting close. So now this is about 10.4 k's in. And you go past, there's a big water tank just here and some houses. And then it dives into a bunch of pine trees, and about that point things should really be kicking off, and you should be really hearing the cowbells and all the volunteers calling out, wanting to offer bananas and stuff. And the volunteers on this course are just astonishing. They're lovely, lovely people, and they give you a really good lift when you get into the aid station. They just can't do enough for you. So about the stage you can start feeling good about things, and the first section's nearly over. Here's another one of those cattle stops, and as you would have seen just a little bit earlier, that some of those bars sometimes can disappear, so you really need to watch your footing when you go across, because at any point one of them could fall out, which is why I wouldn't recommend running across them. It's a good way to end up with a broken ankle. Right, so we're nearly at the end. Bit of a climb to go, and then it's a nice easy stretch through some pine forest, and we're there. So when you hit this bit, you know you're nearly there. And about here is where you know you've cracked it. And you come through to the gate just here, and this is where the aid station is. And all the crazy volunteers shouting and screaming for you, telling you you're doing well. So well done, that's the first part of the circuit done. So that run is, it's the first part of it, you know, you really want to take that a bit easy. The second part you can stretch your legs a bit, but it's going to take some effort. But after about between 5 and 7k mark, there's actually plenty of runnable ground, so take your time in the first bit, because any time you lose you can just make up that in the second half of that section. So I hope you enjoyed this, and then we'll move on to the next section, which is Makara Peak. And if you're wondering what that's all about, that's the hill behind me. And one of the things that you'll discover with the aid stations on this particular course They follow a pattern, most of them. Shortly after you exit an aid station, there's a hill climb. And that's true for almost all of them. So enjoy your time in the aid stations, because once you leave, it's business time again. So thanks for watching. Make sure you check out the next video in the series, which is Makara Peak. So that's from this aid station up to the top of Makara Peak, down through the mountain bike park to the car park. So we'll catch you then.